Mike and Emma's wedding turns into an unexpected scene of laughter and tensions. While the devoted sister Sarah faces setbacks, surprises reveal that the true beauty of life resides in imperfections. Come discover how love overcomes all obstacles. In the small coastal town of Bahia Azul, the morning sun shone over the gentle waves that kissed the beach. The salty air carried the promise of a perfect day for a seaside wedding. At the Thompson house, Sarah, a 32-year-old architect, was darting back and forth, her piercing green eyes focused on every detail of the final preparations. Sarah had always been known for her unwavering determination. Since childhood, she had pursued her goals with an intensity that sometimes scared even her parents. This trait led her to success in her career, but also to moments of intense stress, like the one she was experiencing now. "Mike, are you ready yet?" shouted Sarah, climbing the stairs 2 steps at a time. Her older brother Mike, a 35-year-old firefighter, was the groom, and as usual, he was running late. Mike was the opposite of Sarah in many ways. Clumsy but kind-hearted, he always faced life with an easy smile and a carefree attitude that often exasperated his younger sister. However, it was impossible not to like Mike. His natural charisma and his genuine concern for others made him beloved by everyone in town. "Calm down, sis," Mike's voice echoed down the hallway. "I'm almost ready. I just need to find my shoes." Sarah rolled her eyes, but couldn't suppress an affectionate smile. It was typical of Mike to lose something important on a day like this. She entered his room, a chaotic mix of firefighter uniforms, fishing gear, and family photos. "Your shoes are here," Sarah said, picking up the shiny black shoes from under a pile of clothes. "Now, let's go. Emma must already be on her way to the church." The mention of Emma brought a silly grin to Mike's face. Emma, a 30-year-old nurse, was the bride and the love of Mike's life. The two met during a fire at the local hospital where Emma worked. Mike was immediately charmed by the young nurse's courage and compassion as she helped evacuate patients without a second thought for her own safety. Emma was naturally shy, with long brown hair and kind eyes that seemed to understand people without needing words. Her calm nature perfectly complemented Mike's exuberant energy, and together they formed a couple everyone in town adored. As Sarah drove to the small white church by the sea, Mike nervously fiddled with the velvet box in his pocket. "Sarah," he said suddenly, "do you think I'll be a good husband?" Sarah looked at her brother, surprised by the vulnerability in his voice. For a moment, she saw the boy who used to run to her room during storms, seeking comfort. "Mike," she replied softly, "you will be the best husband Emma could wish for. You two were made for each other." Sarah's words seemed to calm Mike, and he nodded, smiling again. When they arrived at the church, it was filled with friends and family, all dressed in soft shades of blue and beige, echoing the colours of the ocean and sand. Sarah led Mike to the altar, making sure everything was perfect. The flowers, the bows on the chairs, the gentle music playing in the background, every detail had been carefully planned by her. Satisfied, she went to the back of the church, ready to see her brother marry the woman of his dreams. The church doors opened and everyone turned to see Emma enter. She was stunning in her simple yet elegant dress, which floated around her like sea foam. Her eyes were fixed on Mike, and the love between them was palpable, filling the church with a warm and welcoming energy. As Emma walked down the aisle, Sarah felt a wave of emotion wash over her. Seeing her brother so happy, so complete, she realized that all the tension and stress of the preparations were worth it. This moment, this union of two souls, was what truly mattered. The pastor began the ceremony with words about love, commitment, and partnership. Mike and Emma exchanged vows, their voices slightly trembling with emotion. When it was time for the rings, Mike reached into his pocket and froze. Mike's face visibly paled. He looked at Sarah with panic in his eyes, and she immediately understood. The rings. He had forgotten the rings at home. For a moment, Sarah felt a wave of frustration. How could Mike forget something so crucial? But then, looking at her brother's distressed face and Emma's worried expression, she made a decision. Without saying a word, Sarah stood up and ran out of the church. She could hear the confused murmurs behind her, but she didn't care. All that mattered was fixing this mistake and ensuring her brother's wedding was perfect. Sarah drove back home at record speed, her heart pounding in her chest. She found the rings on Mike's nightstand, exactly where he had left them. Grabbing the small box, she rushed back to the car. The drive back to the church seemed endless. Sarah could imagine the confusion and concern her sudden departure must have caused. She only hoped to arrive in time to save the situation. When she finally arrived at the church, Sarah didn't hesitate. She pushed the doors open forcefully, shouting, "Stop the wedding!" All eyes turned to her, shocked. The ensuing silence was deafening. Sarah, breathless and with dishevelled hair, held up the box with the rings. "Sorry," she said, trying to catch her breath. "Mike forgot the rings at home. I had to go get them." For a moment, no one moved. Then, to Sarah's surprise, Emma began to laugh. It was a soft laugh at first, but soon it turned into infectious laughter. Mike joined her, his face red with embarrassment, but his eyes sparkling with joy. Soon the entire church was laughing. The tension of the moment dissipated, replaced by an atmosphere of joy and relief. Sarah, still standing at the entrance of the church, felt the laughter bubbling inside her too. As she walked down the aisle to deliver the rings, Sarah tripped on the carpet. The rings flew from her hands, describing an arc in the air. Mike, acting on instinct, jumped to catch them, almost falling in the process. This only added to the hilarity of the situation, with the guests now laughing uproariously. Emma, who had initially been frightened by all the commotion, was now laughing so hard that tears were streaming down her face. She hugged Mike, who was still holding the rings, and the two shared a kiss full of love. The pastor, recovering from his own fit of laughter, cleared his throat and said, "Well, I think we can continue now. Mike, do you have the rings?" Mike triumphantly held up the rings, provoking more laughter. "Yes, sir. Thanks to my amazing sister." The ceremony continued, but now with a completely different atmosphere. What was once a solemn and formal occasion had transformed into a joyous and relaxed celebration. Vows were exchanged amid smiles and giggles, and when the pastor finally declared Mike and Emma husband and wife, the church erupted into applause and cheers. During the reception held on the beach in front of the church, the ring incident became the main topic of conversation. People approached Sarah to praise her dedication and quick thinking. Mike hugged her tightly, whispering an emotional thank you in her ear. Emma, still radiant in her wedding dress, took Sarah by the hands. "You saved the day," she said, her eyes shining. "This wedding wouldn't have been the same without that moment. It was perfect, in a totally unexpected way." As the sun set over the ocean, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, Sarah watched the newlyweds dancing on the sand. The sound of laughter and music filled the air, blending with the gentle sound of the waves. At that moment, Sarah realized that all the stress and worry of the past few months had been worth it. Not because the wedding had been perfect in the traditional sense, but because it had been authentically Mike and Emma. The ring incident, far from ruining the day, had become a precious moment that everyone would remember fondly. In the months that followed, the flying ring wedding, as it came to be known, became a legend in the small town of Blue Bay. Sarah, previously known mainly for her seriousness and perfectionism, was now frequently approached by people who wanted to hear the story directly from her. To her own surprise, Sarah found that she enjoyed telling the story. Each time she narrated it, she found herself laughing along with her listeners, reliving the joy of that moment. Slowly, she began to realize that there was more to life than perfect plans and rigid expectations. Mike and Emma, on their part, carried the spirit of that day into their marriage. They approached life's challenges with humor and grace, turning setbacks into moments of connection and growth. Their home, which Sarah helped decorate, was always filled with laughter and love. One day, about 6 months after the wedding, Sarah was helping Mike and Emma hang some pictures in their new home. Mike, true to his clumsy nature, almost fell off the ladder while trying to align a particularly stubborn picture. Instead of getting frustrated or worried, Sarah found herself laughing along with Emma. Mike, regaining his balance, looked at the two with a cheeky smile. "Hey, at least this time I didn't drop any rings." In that moment, surrounded by the love and laughter of her family, Sarah realized that she had learned a valuable lesson. Life rarely follows the script we plan, but it is often the unplanned moments, the small imperfections, and the unexpected laughter that make the journey truly special. While helping to create a home full of love and joy for her brother and sister-in-law, Sarah felt a change within herself. She was still organized and dedicated, but now she tried to live life with a new lightness. She learned to laugh at herself, embrace the unexpected, and value human connections over perfection. Mike and Emma's wedding, with all its chaos and joy, was not just the beginning of a new life for the couple. It was also the catalyst for a transformation in Sarah. She discovered that true happiness does not come from having everything under control, but from being able to find joy and love even in the most unpredictable moments of life. As the months turned into years, the story of the wedding continued to be told and retold in the town. It became a reminder to everyone that love, laughter, and family are the most important ingredients for a happy life. And for Sarah, Mike, and Emma, it was a shared treasure, a moment that united them in a way that no perfectly planned wedding could have done. Mike and Emma's love, strengthened by Sarah's unconditional support, continued to flourish, inspiring everyone around them to embrace both the perfect and imperfect moments of life with equal joy and gratitude. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.